local economy structures? Or?
No, we know those territories. We don't know it at all, but we have a good knowledge of them going in, and we gather the knowledge as we have started. By now, honestly, USAID has been focusing in Western Honduras for at least the past 11 years.
Yeah, wow.
So we do have a pretty good grasp of who's there in the different territories. As we expand, what has been happening is that we started with a very, as I said, ProParque finished up with a very focalized areas.
Yeah.
With HEMA, what we found at the beginning of HEMA is that in those areas we knew the systems, we knew people, we knew everybody. As we went further out, we needed to build that trust and to get to know the people, but we did it pretty well. I mean, the teams did that pretty well.
Yeah. And did you visit the local communities before? Maybe you were not there, but do you know if they were visited before the implementation of ProParque?
I honestly don't know, but I presume yes, because as I said, before ProParque, our Feed the Future activities had been there for 5 years.
Yeah.
So in one capacity or another, USAID had presence on those territories.
So it was the same communities along the whole project cycle? It didn't change? Okay.
It expanded. So Feed the Future had worked in 128 municipalities. I believe, I don't know, I can't remember the number of municipalities that ProParque worked on, but HEMA worked in at least 50, 60 of them. So, it was, and some were overlapped and some were new. Aside from the 128. So it was kind of, but we knew the territory more or less and the people there.
Okay. So did you have just the final questions or about if there were any participatory decision-making activities with the local communities? Maybe you could walk me through the decision-making activities and maybe the challenges you faced.
So in order for us to work with Feed the Future there, you have to do a Feed the Future plan, like national plan. And that was very participatory. We had focus groups with beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries in the territories. We met with everybody in the central government that was pertinent, everybody in the donor community that was pertinent, and we had focus group at different levels. In each of the 6 departments, we had at least 2 focus groups with beneficiaries or former beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries population.
Okay.
Some of the challenges, in some areas, it wasn't easy because of that trust issue that I just mentioned. In some, so we commissioned these three. With regards specifically to indigenous population, we commissioned these 3 studies to better understand the indigenous population on the territories that our activities were working on. With regards to natural resources management, we worked on the status of assessing the status of biodiversity. And with regards to climate change, we developed a vulnerability assessment that had into consideration consultations at the local level. And there was a gender study that, quite honestly, I wasn't part of, so I don't know the methodology for it. The ones that I just mentioned were because I was somehow related to making those, so I fully know the methodology. We had commissioned a youth study in order to find out how we can better engage youth. We had commissioned another study that I haven't finished reading.
They can be quite extensive. Wow.
It's the Rural Livelihoods, Migration and Violence Study. That was done in, it was finalized early in 2021. So I've read parts, but I haven't read the whole thing.
No. They're extensive.
Cover too.
Yeah.
So, but those are the inputs that we have for our program.
So are these studies publicly available, or it's only for internal use?
I think they are publicly available. They should be. Let me ask, and if I can share some with you.
Yeah.
But at least I think they should be on the deck. But if you can't find them, please shoot me an email, and I'm happy to ask. And if they're public, I will happy to share them.
Okay, great.
With you.
Great.
But those are the key, and this is key, Luis, because we have three main inputs going into the design of HEMA. And and for the new portfolio, we have those three key inputs as well. One is past experience, both from the activity level to our personal professional levels. We had also the inputs from studies that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we have going for us is the results that we have in the field, right? Which can be considered experience as well. But we also have evaluations. Our programs, HEMA had a baseline evaluation. We didn't do the final evaluation because of funding issues as well. But that baseline for HEMA will be a basis for what's coming next, in terms of achieving tangible results regarding benefiting specific hectares of protected areas, So there's there's a technical part to it that had to do with how many hectares have we conserved, have we improved, and there's a social aspect of it on how we have contributed to people's well-being by this improving these ecosystems.
So are there any, do you work specifically with any representatives from each local community, or how are they included in decision-making activities?
Oh, so once we have our implementing partners in place, one of them, setting up the offices, etc., it's going around and having those socialization with local stakeholders at a time where we can still tweak the first year work plan. So the first year work plan for USAID is due somewhere between 90 to 120 days after award. In that time, the implementing partner is commissioned to do several studies, including a no-harm study. But the gender analysis, the no harms analysis, migration analysis, environmental analysis, etc., and going into consultations with local stakeholders, so that to ensure to finalize on areas, etc., and approaches. That's how we do it. Afterwards, we have pause and reflect moments, different pause and reflect moments where we can invite or not, depending on the territory, people from the communities. And we do the same with the government officials.
Yeah. So are they participating in the monitoring and evaluation as well?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Normally we don't have that. No.
Did you yourself provide any recommendations for the mission with regards to the decision making activities and the participation? Or did you have a consultant hired in at some point?
No, we did them ourselves, and we based on the inputs that we commissioned. So we hire consultants to input that, to do those reports for us, right? But once they're done, it's up to us to. In some cases during design, you can hire out or hire somebody to help you with the planning, but the inputs are mostly within the mission.
Okay. And did you feel that you had control of the or authority to decide the decision-making activities with local communities?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we provide a technical approach. No, not we. Our implementing partners propose a technical approach that USAID agree with, but that technical approach is very broad, and it's just made specific once we go into the field and when we talk to the people, and that's where we say, this will work, this needs to go out the door, this needs to be tweaked. And that process happens during startup. So.
Okay.
COVID has made it very difficult. I just want to close with two things. COVID has made it very difficult, and we are still adjusting to COVID's life, and I'm very interested to see how that will do with our consultation process, our building that consensus process. I imagine that would be very slow because of COVID. And the second thing I want to say is regarding your study, because what I found, I've worked